What's going on, everybody? It's Dan, Moonshine, back with another Moonshine talking. Hope you're all having a good one. I'm doing fine. Can't really complain too much. It's been a busy week. Work has been it's been knock on wood. It's been busy and it's been fruitful for us at my job. This was the tail end of June into July, so it was the tail end of Pride Month, which at my job is kind of a big time for us. We sell a lot of that rainbow stuff, so it's something that does well for us in the environment that we're in. The only reason I bring any of that up is because it ties into the story that I'm about to go into. Um, so, if you can't tell from the shirt and the title and just my general overall enthusiasm, I finally got to see Acid Bath over the weekend. They came to town Saturday, June 28th. They were playing at Janice Live in St. Pete, Florida. Janice Live is an excellent venue to go to if you've never checked it out. If you're in Florida or you're from Florida and you've never been there, I actually ran into a guy, got chatting with him. I think he was there with his daughter, and they came all the way from. I say all the way from Orlando. Orlando's not it's a not a huge. It's not a long drive. It can be made very easily, but at the same time, I get it because I find the same struggle. I deal with the same thing. Driving from Orlando to Tampa or even or Orlando to St. Pete can be a bit of a hassle for somebody, especially if they have a life and they have a wife and they have kids and they have a job and that sort of thing. Getting on I-4 and driving either east or west can be quite a hassle. So to meet a guy who had never been to Janice Live before, was really into music, loves metal. It was cool because going there, it's a very cool spot. It's right down there by the water. It's St. Pete's it's like a beach community for the most part. There's big apartment complexes all around the place, and it's open air, so it's very cool in that regard, and just a very cool spot. It's down like just smack dab in the middle of downtown. So you get clubs and restaurants and all sorts of other stuff going around. There's hotels all around the place. So if you just wanted to crash there and make a night of it or make a weekend of it, it's a great place to go check out a show. Typically, when any of the bigger bands that I listen to come to town, that's usually where they play. They play at Janice Live. If Clutch comes to town, that's where they play. If if Cannibal's headlining a show, that's where they play. Try to figure. That's where I saw Electric Wizard. Just a ton of decent bands. That's where I saw Behemoth and Arch Enemy playing. Yeah, just a lot of stuff like that. But yeah, Janice Live. So that's where they were. As everyone knows, huge Acid Bath fan, huge fan of that 90s era sludge metal scene from Louisiana. A ton of my favorite bands come from there if you haven't noticed at this point. So it was exciting to hear that they were going to be doing their one and only headlining show in Florida in St. Pete. So got my tickets, was super stoked for months. Get to Wednesday of the week of the show, and my boss is telling me how, oh yeah, this is gonna be a big weekend for us. We're gonna do really well. And I was like, wait, what do you mean it's a big weekend? She's like, oh, this is the big, all the big parades are this weekend. I said, does that include St. Pete? And then she looks at me and oh, you might want to account for traffic. So I was like, son of a bitch. And no offense to the idiot that did this, but what idiot thought it was a good idea to put a show on the the what's the word I'm looking for? With the, I don't know, momentousness. I know that's not the word I'm looking for. That's not even a word, but something a show that was going to be as big as Acid Bath at the same time as a gosh damn gay parade. Again, if you don't know, the St. Pete Pride Parade, Pride March, whatever the hell they call it, It's one of the biggest ones in the Central Florida area. People come from far and wide to go to this thing. So why in the hell somebody thought it was a good idea to put a show on at the same time was beyond me. And that isn't what I was concerned with. Just to be clear, I didn't give a crap about any of that. What I was more concerned with was, am I going to be able to find parking? So, as luck would have it, one of my coworkers put me onto this app. I went on their site, and because I don't really like doing the apps on my phone, which I end up having to do anyway. Um, Reserved a parking spot. I was 4 minutes away from the venue, so easy peasy, didn't have to worry about anything. And the spot that I got was right at the front of the parking garage, so that was cool too. I didn't have to travel far as far as hoofing it. I didn't have to go like 3, 4, 5 miles to get to the building. You don't have to go through any of the sketchier parts of town, that sort of thing. So that was fine, you know. So that made my life a whole lot easier, made me breathe a lot easier. And yeah, so the day of the show, headed out. It wasn't too bad getting over there as far as traffic went. I ended up getting there a lot earlier than I planned. Got there a lot earlier than I needed to. The gates didn't open at 7, and I got there around 5, so I ended up standing around like a dumbass for 2 hours. Probably should have gotten something to eat, but I didn't, and that was probably for the most part a good thing. Um, and Yeah, so finally the gates opened and they started letting people in, just kind of milling about for about an hour or so. I saw a bunch of local musicians. I saw a bunch of guys from the local, Bay Area metal scene. A couple, saw vocalists from Greyfelt, Jared. Saw Tyrant Thomas from Othelon, Nick from Promethean Horde. One of the guys from Generic Christ I noticed was there. Couple other people, a bunch of other local, a lot of the regulars that go to a lot of the different shows in the metal scene around here. If you see them at the Brass Mug and the Orpheum, Yingling Center, this place, just a lot of people I recognize from there. One dude, Digger, and his buddy, who I don't know I can't remember the name of their company, but they do like leatherworks and stuff like that. A lot of which they do for the Renaissance Fair. Uh, Tried to get them to sell in my store, but they didn't want to do that because I don't know. They like he thought that we were like gonna be trying to do a remake of Cruising or something like that, which wasn't the case. I just wanted to bring some cool metal looking stuff into our store and try to diversify our inventory. But either way, it is what it is. Uh, so finally, the show starts. Set times were prompt the whole night. Everything was running for the most part like a well-oiled machine. 7 o'clock rolls around. Wake gets on the stage. Wake are a six-piece from Arkansas. If you're not familiar, I myself wasn't really that familiar with them. I had heard their latest album, The Return of Magic, which I believe came out on Century Media Records earlier this year, I think back in April. And it was fine from what I heard. It was decent. They do like a mix of sludge and progressive type of metal. Long songs, all for the most part. A lot of the songs clock in at the 8, 9, 10 minute marks most of the time. They do little spoken word pieces in the middle of them that sound like they're probably poetry that one of the vocalists came up with, and lots of esoteric messages and themes in the music. Uh, Allusions to old school rituals, old world magic and stuff like that. And yeah, it was cool. For not being very familiar with them, they impressed me a lot. They were loud. They were they were aggressive. They were very good musicians. Very technically precise. You have to forgive me. I'm drinking my morning sludge, and sometimes that gets me a little choked up. But it was funny because one of the guitar players, I laughed to myself because most people wouldn't get this, but he looked like MJF, and I just laughed. I was like, "What's what's Max doing on stage?" And it cracked me up. Same hair, same look, the glasses and the features and everything. He just looked like Maxwell Jacob Friedman from AEW. But yeah, they were really good. They're a six piece. They have two vocalists, one female, one male, two guitar players, bass and drums. The female vocalist, she does some synth stuff during the songs as well. Both of them have both of them just with the growling vocals, very harsh vocals. It was very cool. They played for about 40 minutes, and none of the video that I have is salvageable because where before the show, as you can see right now, you get an idea of what the show looked like with people filing in with the crowd early on. You could hear some of the stuff, but I'm not going to play it because it's probably copyrighted music. Uh, the audio was good on it, and most of the time I don't do these live show things anymore because my audio is crap, and I don't want to ruin people's day by having them take any amount of time out of their day to watch one of my videos, watch a whole live show review, and have the audio be all garbage. So I'm gonna get a new phone pretty soon. Just if anything else, for the purpose of doing these things right and properly. Just because I like doing them. I like talking about the shows that I go to, and I like adding little clips of the shows itself and the bands. I think it kind of helps support them in the little way that I can, but it doesn't support them in any manner if the video and the audio sucks. So I'm working on that. I am trying to have things look a little bit better, and I probably need a new phone anyway. I think my phone's getting a little bit old, a little long in the tooth. So I probably need a new one anyway. So this would be good motivation to do that. But yeah, they played about 40 minutes roughly. They started unloading, getting their stuff off the stage, setting everything up for Weedeater. Weedeater, they played for probably also about 40, maybe 45 minutes. If you're not familiar with Weedeater, Weedeater are a three-piece from North Carolina. Dixie Dave, the bass player and vocalist, he was in one of the later versions of Buzz Oven. Buzz Oven, also from North Carolina, a fantastic, very influential sludge metal band from back in the 90s. Uh, Great discography if you've never checked them out. I highly recommend listening to them if you like sludge metal or if you like any sort of like noisy, aggressive mix of doom and stoner and hardcore, that sort of thing, then they're a great band to listen to. They're one of my favorites of all time. I love Buzz Oven. I played Soar so many times growing up. It's ridiculous, but it was very cool to see them live. Actually, I ran into Dave at the end of the night. He was walking around, milling about through the crowd, chatting with people and whatnot. Probably checking out, overseeing the merch table, and got to say hi to him, shake his hand, blah blah blah. 20 seconds, not a huge interaction, but very cool, very very pleasant, and it didn't like spit in my face or anything and tell me to f off, weirdo. So that was cool, but as far as the music, as far as the music goes, they were fantastic. They are the soundtrack to every filthy diner, rest stop, freaking just greasy, grimy facility that you could think of out there. The freaking crust covered warehousing job. That would be the soundtrack that Weedeater would provide. It's loud and it's aggressive and slow and doomy as all get out. Very cool. It's like Weedeater's a mix of doom and sludge and stoner rock. Of course, there's stoner elements because Weedeater. But yeah, they were great. I do have one clip that might have been salvageable, at least enough to kind of get an idea of what they sound like. But yeah, where I thought maybe Wake were blowing out the microphone on my phone, Weedeater were blowing out the speakers of the entire area. I mean, they were loud. They were loud and sloppy. And Dave's hilarious. He's a very charismatic vocalist. They open up, and I'm paraphrasing. They get on the stage, and we're Weedeater from North Carolina. You've been hoodwinked. You've been bamboozled, hornswoggled. There's no money back. And then they go into their set. As far as most notable tracks, they did Good Luck and Godspeed, or Godspeed, God Luck and Goodspeed. God damn it. Freaking stupid idiot. It's early. Give me a break. And they did Jason the Dragon, which are two of their standout tracks. Those are probably the ones that a lot of people know them for. They're kind of like their Ace of Spades songs, so that's two of the main ones that they played. And yeah, they were killer. I highly recommend going to see them. Didn't get to see them when they played with the Melvins, but it is what it is. So then they clear the stage, and we get to our headliners. We get to the main event, and you get Acid Bath. And overall, they were fantastic. They were great. I can't say enough things about finally getting to see them. I know it's only 3/5 of the band, but as far as bands go, that's a lot more than some bands have. They opened up with Tranquilized, and the crowd went nuts. And they were killing it. Dax sounded great. Everybody was high energy. The one thing that was interesting, I'll point this out right now, is that Shane Wesley from Crowbar was doing bass for them. I thought that they were going to I thought Alex was playing bass for them. At least that's what they announced previously. I don't quite know what happened there, but it was cool. Shane's an awesome bass player, and he fits in nicely. It's kind of like an incestuous uh, pack of musicians where everybody switches bands, like I Hate God and Crowbar and Goat Whore and a bunch of the other ones. So it makes sense that they kind of go, and everybody's like interconnected, and everybody's like a degree of separation from Phil Anselmo. So it's a very cool scene. Uh, everybody knows, if you follow my channel even a little bit, that '90s Louisiana sludge scene. That's one of my favorite little subsex territories of heavy metal that I listen to. It's one of my go-tos. So it was, all those bands rule, in my opinion, and it's cool to see them mixing it up together. But they did Tranquilized. They went into Bleed Me an Ocean, which is one of my favorite songs of Acid Baths. I love that song. Then they went into, I mean, overall, they played as far as they closed with Dr. Seuss's Dead. They did they did Pagan Love Song, and I'm trying to think as far as the other heavy ones that they did. Probably Venus Blue, which is kind of a mix of heavy and softer, more melodic stuff. But I am honest, and I'm not going to bullshit people. I thought that they were dangerously close to killing the crowd about the midpoint of their set. They did they did Dead Girl, which was surprising because that's an Agents of Oblivion song. They did New Death Sensation. They did Scream of the Butterfly, and they did The Bones of Baby Dolls. All of which are very slow. They're a lot lighter as far as Acid Bath goes, songs in their catalog. And it's fine if you mix it up with some of the heavier stuff, but they did at least three of them. I can't remember exactly which three they did in a row. And then they threw, I want to say they threw Pagan Love Song in there. And then they did, I think it was they did Dead Girl, New Death Sensation, and then they did, I want to say Smoke, The Bones of Baby Dolls. And then they did Pagan Love Song, and then I think they did Scream of the Butterfly. And either before or after they did Venus Blue. But it was one of those things where I think it really kind of sucked the energy out of the crowd quite a bit just because it was a bunch of slow numbers right in a row. And it was almost kind of one of those deals where it was like, this isn't what they're going to do all night, is it? They're not just going to play a bunch of the slow, almost depressing stuff, almost like kind of like ballady kind of stuff. And they didn't. They mixed it up quite a bit, and it was just funny to me because even as a huge Acid Bath fan, hearing those songs live in sequence, it was one of those things where I was like, wow, I didn't realize how many slower numbers that these guys had. But yeah, playing them all in a row, it's like that to me was, I would say, one criticism was the set list because they didn't do they didn't do Cheap Vodka, which I thought would have been a good choice. They didn't do Jezebel, which I thought I would have loved to have heard him do Jezebel. I would even say I would have loved to have heard them do God Machine. I thought that would have gotten a great reaction, particularly at the end. But yeah, they that was their set list pretty much, and I think they probably played about 9 songs. Uh, St. Pete is very strict about noise ordinances, So they had to pretty much get out of there really quick. They got in. I don't know if they were running late or they were having tech issues or anything, but I think they were supposed to get on the stage at 10. They didn't get onto the stage till a little after 10. And then they were off probably by like a quarter past, maybe something like that. So they played maybe a little over an hour, give or take a few minutes. And yeah, that was that. Which again, that was another one. At least for me, waiting so long to see them, it was kind of disappointing that they didn't get to do like a 90-minute set or something like that. Like I fine they didn't do like a 2 hour extravaganza or anything. That's fine, but I would have liked to have seen them play more. I would have liked to have seen them play a few more songs, particularly the heavier ones, to really get the crowd going because the crowd was with everybody the entire night. And again, it just really did feel like playing those songs in a row. It did kind of like suck the energy out of everything. And I don't know what the motivation was for doing that. I don't know if that's their normal set list because I have deliberately avoided seeing any sort of video, live footage. Nothing that they've done I've watched. I didn't see the show in Louisiana. I know a bunch of people post stuff. I didn't see the one they did at Rockville. I've seen nothing. I've seen not a thing because I wanted to go in there fresh eyes and ears watching this for the first time. That's how I wanted to go in to see an acid bath. I was just basically la 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 la, and I don't want to hear about it. Don't want to know about it. No spoilers. I don't want anybody telling me anything about this set or anything. I want to go in there and hear it, see it, experience it, and make up my own mind at the end of the day. So of course, I had time because I had to be out of my spot at midnight, but it was around probably a little before, probably like 11:20, something like that. So I kind of hit the merch tables. I did hit the merch tables and got the shirt, very cool shirt. I got a poster, and this is the other thing that I'm going to criticize a little bit. But this is a pretty cool poster. This was an event poster that I picked up. I understand that this is a once in a lifetime experience that according to the fellas, according to Sammy and Dax and Mike, we are not getting new acid bath music. This is a one-time thing that they want to do based on the fact that one of their brothers died, and they want to do this before they're all gone, and they can't do it again, or there's only like one person left. I think almost kind of like the whole, like the Pantera thing. It's kind of to me that's a lame one. You waited till both of the Paul brothers died, and now you're doing Pantera. It's like, eh, not really a fan. But some of the merch prices were crazy. And I get people got to make their money and make your money. That's fine. I'm not going to fault anybody for making the money. If you put the price out there and people are willing to buy it and willing to spend the money, then good on you. But they had this killer poster that was made. It was screen printed. It was made specifically for this event. It had all of the bands on there. You'll probably see people posting things on Instagram or other social media platforms as far as what this poster looked like. I'll try to look around and see if I can't pop up a picture of it on this thing here. But it was so cool looking with the colored schemes and design, the skull, the way they had acid bath and Weedeater and Wake, the date and the venue, all of it was great, and it was $125. And I said, "You've got to be kidding me! I cannot justify paying $125 for a poster. You can't watch it, you can't smell it, you can't taste it, you can't do anything other than look at it." And I love posters. I love banners. I love all that stuff. I love having a cool metal room, but $125 for a poster, that's just too much. And even there was a point where I was trying to justify it in my brain. Like I was gonna, if I walked up to them and I said, "Is it UV reflective? Can I turn on a black light and have this thing pop in the middle of a room. Then I kind of could have been like, okay, this is a unique piece of memorabilia. It's gonna hurt, but I'm gonna do it. But I could, at the end of the day, I couldn't. I could not justify spending $125 on a poster. A lot of people did. I ended up with this one. This one was a lot less, but still a little on the pricey side. But I was like, eh. And there were some like inexpensive, like a small, like a almost like a 10 by 12 poster that did have all the bands and everything on it. That was kind of cool, but it was tinier. It was a lot smaller. Probably fit in like the corner of a room, corner space of a room, regardless of whether you framed it or not. But yeah, that was the only other thing I would say as far as a drawback is that, and not even a drawback. I would say that if you're getting the opportunity to go see Acid Bath, bring money, bring lots of it, because if you want to go ham on the merchandise, you're gonna need it. So overall, this was that said, and my criticisms of the set list said this was a fantastic show. I loved it. I loved getting to see it. I had such a great time. Everybody said that I sounded like I had a great time because my normal caramello sounding voice and dulcet tones that you get from me on a regular with these videos was a lot scratchier and gravelier and raspier than normal, which, as you can imagine, not only do I have a face for radio, I have a voice for silent movies, which makes sense because start a YouTube channel. But it was a little rough for a couple of days because I was screaming my head off. I was singing along to all the songs. I was having a blast. The only other drawback I would say is I wish one of my friends would have been able to go with me. I wish some of my friends like metal like I do because it would have been nice to go hang out with somebody and get to experience that with friends. A lot of my friends don't listen to the type of music I do, so it kind of sucks in that regard. And some of them they work with me, so we can't really all take the time off at the same time. Can't close the business and tell the customers like, "Oh, hey gang, I know it's Saturday night. I know it's a Saturday night and I know it's Pride weekend, but Acid Bath's in town. We're all effing off and going over to St. Pete." So anyhow, so that was that. So that's my review of the show. That's my recap of the show, telling you what it was like going to see Acid Bath. And I tried to get this under 20 minutes, but obviously that didn't happen because I am a meandering, babbling mess of a human being that has to share every intricate detail of whatever experience he's had, just so you all know. Uh, be glad I don't tell you about some of the doctor's visits I've had in the past. But anyhow, so so that's that. I hope you enjoyed it. Hope you liked the video. Hope you stuck around to the end. If you're new here and you just happen to be catching this, uh, please like, comment. If you like the channel, you think you're going to enjoy it, go check out some of the other videos. If you like it, subscribe to the channel. I could use the help. Help the channel grow, help get more eyes on the prize, as it were, and just get people checking out more of my videos. So yeah, man, that's that. That's what I got for you. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope you had a good one, everybody. Take it easy. I'm probably gonna do one or two more of these today because I had some ideas that were milling about in my brain. They're rattling around up there with the two brain cells fighting for space, and I wanted to do those while they're fresh in my mind because I thought it'd be kind of cool. And I did a video. I was putting the final touches on it before the acid bath show, before I took off, and it turned into an unmitigated disaster, which I will speak of on the final product when I finally get it done. And you can laugh and gawk and go ha ha at me based on that. So anyhow, that's what I got for you, everybody. This is Dan. This is Moonshine talking. Have a good one. As always, stay sick, stay heavy, stay brutal. Always tuck your chin upon impact, and don't forget to breathe. Take it easy, and I'll catch you on the next video. Later.